I think there should be no more new console hardware generations anymore. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I would like to talk about console generations. Now I know that every single time when a new generation of consoles arrive, we all get excited about it because these new consoles offer better graphics, performance, new features, etc, etc. So that's always exciting, you know, that new plastic box which can push your games to you know, hardware limits, if you know what I mean. And that's all great and dandy, and I actually do like it. Unfortunately, I think that these classic console generations are going away slowly but surely. And I think that this generation is a clear example of that. And yeah, that's what I really want to talk about today. So generally speaking, the idea behind this video is that console manufacturers, now that's obviously just my opinion, I'm not really sure whether they will actually chase it, but it looks like they will. I think that they should not be chasing next generation of consoles anymore per se. So just like in the past, every 5 to 7 years we would get new generation of consoles, PlayStation 2, then PlayStation 3, then PlayStation 4, etc, etc, right? Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now Xbox series consoles. And you know, like I said, like these new consoles are always exciting, but you know what? PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox One X were kind of exciting too. And I think that these console upgrades actually worked better than well, current gen consoles actually do when it comes to taking advantage of these hardware, right? And that's actually a big problem, and I think it will just get worse. Okay, so like I said, I think that generally speaking, I would love to see both PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo to adopt more like a mobile kind of business model. And I don't necessarily think that we need new console every 2 years, like on PC. You've got these GPU upgrades. They are not really even like a new generation of graphics cards, just upgraded versions of the previous cards. Really on PC we get like a proper new gens every 4 to 5, 6 years really. So I think that like having a new upgraded console every 3 to 4 years, depending on hardware available, would actually work better than what we actually have right now. Because you know, there's a couple of things which really suggest that that's what's going to be happening in the future. Like this generation, if you really think about it, like yes, these consoles have been on the market for over 2 years, right? Like we are reaching almost 2.5 years. And like with previous generations, we would get at least a couple of games that we could back then call, oh man, these are really a proper next gen games. You know, we're talking about like Killzones and Gears of Wars and Halos and Forzas, which usually, you know, would bring, you know, better visuals and that kind of stuff, and you could call them really a proper next gen games. We're not really getting that at all. Now, yeah, I know that some people could argue, okay, so but there's Ratchet and Clank. Okay, so I would say it's kind of like a half step to next generation, I would say, because it's using the SSD in a very kind of cool way, but I wouldn't really call that game next gen just yet, if you know what I mean. You know, the graphics is great and stuff, and hey, better performance and better graphics, that's what we actually get. And so we are getting the same old games with better graphics and better performance. That's why I think that these consoles in general should chase these upgrades rather than proper next-gen games and next-gen kind of consoles. Because another thing, when you look at things from developer perspective, right? So like even current gen consoles, they are packed with a lot of new hardware, and both PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles, like, you know, RDNA2 features, you know, new geometry engine, primitives for better geometry and mesh shading and VRS. I mean, okay, VRS and ray tracing are actually two features that have been already used and are quite common, especially ray tracing, but there's plenty of other features that still have not been used. And another thing is like SSDs are not really properly used by developers either. And you know why? Because it's really difficult to like throw all these new technologies at a game engine and change everything around overnight, right? So it's cool that, you know, both Xbox and PlayStation delivered all these new things, but it will take developers like I don't know how many years to take advantage of it, right? And I think that all these great new features make these consoles more expensive to produce and whatever, and we're still not getting any results. And you know, I think that we will see developers taking full advantage of all these features probably by the end of this generation, right? So probably in 2025-6. So I think that I think it would be better to provide new features every couple of years, right? Here and there, which gradually developers can implement into their game engines, and then you get a console which is more capable than the previous console. They are still compatible for a while, but you know, after a while, after another upgrade, the previous console, you know, goes away. Like developers don't have to support it. And you know, the new one brings even more new features that developers actually already are using or are just about to use. Because I'll give you a great example. I think that PlayStation is actually doing a better job with working with developers anyway, and they are more aware what developers actually need right now, while Xbox just thrown all these future technologies that developers are still not using and will not be using for a while now. And yeah, we'll be waiting, and you know, all that technology is, you know, has been in these consoles for over 2.5 years. We may see some developers taking advantage of these features, like maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe who knows when, right? And like, you know, so basically, you know, okay, so I know that will sound bad, but it feels like these new features are just waste of space on that CPU die. So actually, I think that when it comes to designing their PlayStation console, and I know that will be controversial, I think that, you know, people were laughing that PlayStation 5 feels more like an upgrade over PlayStation 4 Pro. But you know what? That's actually a good thing. Because so what? Xbox has all these next-gen features when nobody uses it. I'm talking about developers. And this is not to suggest that developers are lazy or anything like that. Like, some of these features changes game engine and graphics pipelines and whatever in such a fundamental way that it takes time to, you know, give it a try, test it properly, debug it and stuff. It's, you know, we're talking about like mesh shaders, for example. This is a feature that will take a while for developers to get used to, and it's actually quite difficult to implement too, because it requires more skill and stuff. Like not every programmer will actually even try to implement it, right? So, you know, that's why I think that like console upgrades like every 3-4 years with better, higher clock speeds, more compute units, more RAM, and 2 or 3 new features here and there, so developers can actually learn, like, you know, not necessarily faster, but I'm talking about features that developers really want to use, like in next a year or two, right? Instead of a feature that developers may use in 5 years from now. So I think these type of console upgrades would actually be more beneficial. And that kind of model actually works on PC, right? Yes, you get all these new features like FSR, DLSS, and that kind of stuff, but you know, all these features are being implemented gradually, right? And like mesh shaders are still not being used, even though that particular feature has been in the GPU, NVIDIA GPUs since 2018. So that's like 6 years now, right? 5 years, sorry. So listen, I think that that makes more sense, and like PlayStation 4 Pro actually makes a lot of sense too. And I just think that when it comes to like you know, new consoles, I think we will get PlayStation 5 Pro and Xbox Series Pro, and you know, maybe like 3-4 years from now we may get another upgrade rather than a next gen, and then, for example, make Xbox Series X still a console that you could use, because it's actually still a powerful console. Even it will be capable console even 3-4 years from now, no problem there. And then just say, okay, Xbox Series X, we won't force developers to actually you know, make games for that console, because this console has been on the market, you know, I mean, in 2025 it will be like 5-6 years, right? In 2026 really. So yeah, so listen, I don't know, like I think that these proper next generations are going away, and even PlayStation that was screaming from the rooftops that they believe in generations, yet they still support PlayStation 4 this year, coming into even next year apparently, some games. I mean, yeah, Spider-Man 2 is obviously coming, and it's actually going to be a proper next-gen game. But you know, they will still have a lot of games apparently that will support PlayStation 4. So even though next generation started, like it doesn't feel next gen at all, in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, guys, that's the video. Let me know in the comment section what you think about it. You are next gen guy or console upgrade guy? I'm a console upgrade guy, really, so we'll see how that goes. Guys, so thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for support, I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care.